Ding, 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 ding. Breaking news from Sportskeeda Wrestling. Yeah! It's Rings and Rambles on a Thursday afternoon, coming to you here 1 p.m.-ish in the Central Standard, 11 a.m. in the Pacific, wherever you are, on demand, wherever you like it. I'm Kev Callum here in the greatest wrestling city in the world. Suck it, everyone else. Chicago, Illinois. Joining me from Sacramento, stealing the Oakland A's. Nick, how do you feel about crushing the dreams of everyone who loves the Oakland A's?
You know, I was in Oakland for a game on the last week that they played there, their last series against the Rangers. I'm sad for them. I live in the city where they're moving to, but it doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right.
Get your comments on screen, everybody. We are talking wrestling, by the way. A lot to cover today. We have so much breaking news, an exclusive from our brand new Backstage Pass, which is really, really awesome. If you have not subscribed just yet, exclusive shows every single week with JBL, Vince Russo, different from the ones we have for him on YouTube. A show that him and Coach do, which is pretty cool, Coach and the Bro Show. That is up as well. We have the Bro Down, which is Vince Russo covering SmackDown. He covers Raw on our YouTube, but we have him doing SmackDown as well. And breaking news from the scooping news source. We still don't know what they look like, but they have all the information. WrestleVotes, including breaking news that we're going to give you today that broke first on Backstage Pass. You can subscribe now. That is on Patreon. That is patreon.com/Backstage Pass SK. That is Patreon Backstage Pass SK. $5 a month. Well worth it. Well worth it. I subscribed. No one asked me at work to do it. I did it. It was well worth it. So tip of the cap to Joey Votes and TC of WrestleVotes for giving this news and them finding out about what is going on here. We will talk about the news that is coming up as well with former champions signing with AEW. We will talk about the game-changing deal that AEW scored this week. But that breaking news story here first from Elimination Chamber. WWE Elimination Chamber, the location appears to be set. We have this at sportskeeda.com. Once again, broken on Backstage Pass. Subscribe. Give me all the deets, Nicholas. Give me the deets.
Yes, WWE Elimination Chamber is heading to the UK for the first time in 2025. It's going to be in the UK, London, England. So that's some big news. I love the London crowds. I love the overseas crowds.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been there personally. I want to go to one, but you watch it on TV. You can feel that energy. It's great. I think
I've never been to an Elimination Chamber. I've been to I've seen a Hell in a Cell more than a few times live.
Nice.
It is different to see the big structure and stuff like that too.
Yes.
Elimination Chamber, I had friends who went to Australia and saw the show there, and they said it is in a stadium setting somewhat difficult to see everything. So that was one thing I heard, and maybe that's just circumstantial, obviously not affected by us on TV. There's big screens, there's ways around it. I'm down for this, The one thing I did, the one critique, and this is just maybe something you don't know until you're there, was the Perth grounds. You were very spread out from the ring. Even if you were in the stadium seeing a cricket ground is very wide. It's bigger than even sometimes a football field, it appears, at least in terms of circumstances. And people were saying that there was maybe an issue, but it wasn't the biggest thing, but they didn't know until they got there in Perth. The last one they did in Australia. This one could be in England. Obviously, a big market for WWE. Europe, these international shows continue to be very, very special things, fun to watch. They could do these. My assumption is this would be in the afternoon time for us on a Saturday, most likely, if this is at night. If this is a stadium show, that would be wild. An outdoor stadium show, you have the weather element, which is also present there. Or are they putting this in an arena? So it isn't clear what physical venue is going to host this. The show in Perth was in a stadium. So are you going to go for the high-end ticket, though, and make a crowd of less people pay more to see the Elimination Chamber? It'll be interesting to see how this is done. Obviously, it's not cheap to move this thing either.
No.
Your production costs going overseas are already significant, and Manchester or Birmingham, significant cities. I know a lot of people. We have somebody in the chat saying, "Please let it be London." Is it going to be London?
Yes, and I apologize. Maybe I did say London, England. I didn't mean to say London, but England is confirmed for sure.
Yeah, well, the assumption is we always go to the city first with London. You always start there, you know. Oh, it's going to be in the United States or New York or LA, you know. So I get it. You know, that's always going to be here. Guys, is ECA going to be in London? Harry, we can't confirm that for you, but it does feel like Manchester or Birmingham are the leading candidates. Once again, if you guys want the full story here on the breaking news of a WWE Elimination Chamber, this would put the show after Royal Rumble in 2025, before WrestleMania, where it's been for well over 10, 15 years now. The Elimination Chamber has emanated, though, from Saudi Arabia, and it's been overseas. It's been utilized as one of those big money Saudi Arabia shows, but it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. Once again, you guys want all the scoops like this, go get the most recent episode of Wrestle Votes Radio, where you get these exclusive scoops. And you can ask questions of these guys who have all of this information and have all of these sources in Stanford and Jacksonville. They know what is going on. They are very aware of what is up. So definitely go check that out. That is up now, an exclusive on Backstage Pass, patreon.com, Backstage Pass SK. That is what you guys are looking for. $5 a month, well worth it. Go give it a try. You guys can do a free trial as well if you want to try that out as well. I did it. No one asked me to. It is worth every money. And also great passive too, because you can do it on the phone, just like you can do our show. I know a lot of people listen to this as a podcast or pull up the YouTube Premium. You can do the same thing with Patreon. If you've never subscribed to anything on Patreon, you can do that with Patreon as well. I want to hear from you guys as well. We're getting into the comments. What do you think of this Elimination Chamber becoming a bigger and bigger show? Sometimes, though, it does feel like Elimination Chamber, it's a fun spectacle. There's a cool angle. It just feels like a good stamping point before you get to Mania. I do feel there's a lot more excitement in. Not to say there's less excitement coming out, but does it ever live up to the hype, though? I mean, it's Rumble and Mania for a lot of people.
Yeah, you know, I mean, during that whole time period, I'm just so hyped up on wrestling in general. I mean, after the Rumble, I'm all in all year round anyways, but after the Rumble, I know what's coming up next. So, of course, I'm always looking for Elimination Chamber. I like it. I enjoy it. I think it does live up to the hype. Maybe not every year, but they've had some great events there. And I do have a question for Harry now that you put that comment up there. Harry, are you from England? Where are you from? Because
my assumption is he's from England.
I'm assuming, but let us know, everybody, in the comments where you're from. We'd love to.
We always love that.
We love to know where you're coming from.
We always love to hear and connect with people, especially in specific locations. I know we have a couple of diehards with this, but if you're watching for the first time, even if you're watching on demand, I know we have some people that kind of hop into the YouTube comments afterwards. We would love to hear from you guys as well. Yes. Shout out to everyone who's watching as well on Wrestle Room and the Sportskeeda Wrestling Facebook page as well. Thank you so much. Interesting things that we'll cover. We do have to talk about this big breaking story that's developing from last night's Dynamite. A former WWE champion appeared on camera. All right, on that show. Shout out to Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada, who had, shocker, two of the best wrestlers in the world, had an incredible match. Very good day, very good week for AEW. We'll get into that. We're going to cover their up next, their big TV details and why this is a game-changing deal. And if you want to go I hate the AEW, I love WWE, or I hate WWE, I love AEW, this is a stupid, dumb, knuckle-dragging approach to wrestling. This is very, very good for the wrestling industry. We'll talk about that. But do want to promote something else. I know, plug. Enter the Bloodline. We have new episodes up every Wednesday on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. This featuring Alpha of the Bloodline. You can go check that out right now. That is up right now. New episode just dropped yesterday. Also, my Bad Blood predictions are out as well. And you just dropped a fun episode that we did last week. A lot of people got behind this about the rise and possible fall, maybe, of the gigantic Omos. You worked on that one. That was an interesting video, man.
Yeah, go check it out. I think it's a good, positive story. But, Omos, a great dude. Dives a little bit more into his personal life, lets you know a little bit more about him. I would highly recommend checking this one out for sure.
Want to hear from you guys. Share the link or you stink. Pass it on to your wrestling buddies. Would love to hear from you guys here. People bringing this up. Hurt Business 3.0. This is the second chance with Hurt Business. MVP debuted last week, surprisingly, assaulting some people. And then Shelton Benjamin was brought up on camera. It won't be called the Hurt Business. It'll be called the Hurt Syndicate because they had to find a way to figure out a way around it. So good on them. This is a group that was presented first in WWE television, now being presented relatively the same. Well-dressed men, a group primarily built of strong African-American talent, making moves, making money moves, beating up on people, and looking like bad primetime player dudes. That is not a shot at the primetime players, but just they're being presented as high-profile athletes, basically. And MVP is their agent. It's an extension of MVP, what MVP was going for, like in 2007, by the way. It appears like he will wrestle in some form, MVP. And they're targeting some talent here. And now we're getting reports that former WWE champion Bobby Lashley has signed with All Elite Wrestling. This has been expected since his last deal with WWE kind of ran out. They offered him a new deal. He wasn't being utilized in a major role. He was featured in a match at WrestleMania, but it was a multi-man affair with the Pride, which was a faction of him and the Street Profits that really never got off the rails. They got a match at WrestleMania, and it's weird to say that you get a match at WrestleMania, but you never really get much more than that. But they were always kind of presented as kind of stop and start, and like, all right, are they going to get going? He was a guy who unfortunately got scratched from WrestleMania 39 the year before because of Bray Wyatt's illness. So, some situations, maybe a guy who got lost in the shuffle. It's kind of crazy to think that because he was such a big part of WWE coming out of the pandemic. Now, a guy who still looks like $1 million, still wrestles like $1 million, a guy who's north of 40, but just still looks and plays the part. And it needs all those different things around him to be a special superstar. He's been with MVP. They were together as well in Impact Wrestling. They've had a long creative partnership. This makes a lot of sense. Shelton Benjamin showing up last night on AEW television. What do you think of this all coming together?
I think it's cool. It's good for Bobby Lashley. I felt like he was a big-time player getting lost in the shuffle of WWE. You know, it begs the question, maybe what was going on with him and Triple H, because he had such a good relationship with Vince. Vince always put him at the top when he was in charge of things. So I'm kind of wondering what's going on there, but at the same time, where does Bobby fit in AEW? I know that he is a massive superstar and he has a lot to bring to the company, but they are stacked. Like, they have a good roster already, and they keep bringing in more and more names from WWE specifically. I'm just interested to see how this all plays out. I do like how they're teaming them up again in AEW. Maybe this will be, a resurgence for their career here. I've heard as well that they are starting to go more towards the storyline aspect instead of just, great wrestling matches. But it'll be interesting to see how they fit the Hurt Syndicate with Bobby Lashley into AEW with already a stacked roster there, and then bringing more people in.
But it'd be the same thing if you had, there was the talk of the Lucha Brothers, vice versa. Right. We talk about talent from AEW going over there. That was a big story that kind of broke since you and I spoke last week about their contracts being basically, hey, injury time, you're not leaving AEW. You have to stay here for a while. Specifically, Ray Phoenix could be there for another year almost 10 months. And, of course, Pentagon would be there for a couple more months, and then he could sign with WWE. That's the reported word, okay? Yeah. So now you have a talent, though, where, no, I'm free. So do those guys stay on the shelf? You have a lot of shuffling talent back and forth. You have Miro reportedly wanting out of AEW. He hasn't been on TV in months, over 6 months. You haven't seen him, December, I think is the last time we saw him. Right. So, you have a lot of talent coming and going. Now, you also have injured talent. You have big men like Wardlow who are on the shelf and got hurt. You have Powerhouse Hobbs on the shelf, got hurt. So the timing for Lashley to come in right now and be that type of wrestler for them is kind of special. It's a good time for him to come in. Does this skip the line of some people? Yeah, it does. But and if you're an AEW loyalist, maybe you're like, they got to stop bringing in these WWE guys and this and that. I'm like, and there's other reasons why they just signed this guy too. If you look at if you step away and you look at the big picture and you look at all the other elements, not just who your favorites are, you kind of get it. Yes, will Lashley be at AEW? He will. I don't know when. And this is a pretty strong report. It makes sense. It lines up with everything we're seeing on screen. It wouldn't surprise me though if they kind of drag it out as long as possible.
They should.
Yeah, I would make this. It would be done here. How about AEW? Their deal done now. Miro gone, says Ozzy. Miro reportedly asked for his release from the company at some point in the last week and a half. That happened between shows for us. Don't know any more details about that, about how he would get out. But the problem is he's locked into a deal with him into 2026. And whether or not they grant him that release, it isn't clear. Is he getting guaranteed money? There's just so much we don't know about that. But let's talk about this. This is one we've been covering for months. This was the number one story yesterday. I wanted to cover all the exclusives that we broke today. And then we had Bobby Lashley reportedly this morning. So a lot of big news, but the game-changing deal, and I will say this is the most important story of the week. This is the most significant story for the wrestling industry. AEW has confirmed a game-changing deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. They did it before in 2019 by becoming basically the most well-financed, well-rostered up people that could challenge WWE in any way since WCW. Whether or not you like hearing that, that is true. And now they have finally announced their new TV deal, a multi-year agreement. No, isn't clear how long it is, with Warner Brothers Discovery, which will keep Dynamite on TBS, Collision on TNT.
TNT, yep.
There is no word about Rampage. That show is expected to go bye-bye. All right. An extended social media and digital platform linear television presentation. That's kind of unclear. So that could be exclusive shows on YouTube. That could be exclusive digital things. It could be TV specials. It's not clear there. But the big part of this deal, $150 million. Okay. So they wanted to try and double their rate, which was around $75 million a year.
Yeah.
Now they're reportedly getting upwards of $150 million per year, which people say, oh, WWE. I don't care. For them, this doubles the money they got before.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
Okay. That's a very, very good thing. But the biggest part of this deal, and this is something you and I were talking about, Warner Brothers Discovery has one of the top 4 streaming services in the world in Max. Okay. And this would give them access to so many people, and you know this, who are cord cutting. All right.
Yeah.
And they're not getting cable, but they're getting a streaming service. All right. And Max has expanded sports. Okay. They have some sports now. They have some Major League Baseball on there. They have some major things on there. They're doing more live stuff on there. They have all of the DC superhero films on there. They have all the HBO shows on there. Big stuff. All right. And they're a part of one of those big bundles you can get with Disney Plus and all that. So there's a lot of access here to reach a lot of people who've never heard of AEW or have just heard of it but haven't watched it.
Right.
Okay. To have that brand right next to Batman, Superman, Warner Brothers, So this is a big deal. They're going to be on there and they'll be live. They'll be live with Dynamite and Collision on there starting in January of 2025. The other part that I know a lot of people were wanting, will we get pay-per-view live events, Double or Nothing, and others on this Max deal? We will.
Yes.
But here's the part that may aggravate some people. It is expected to be a pay-per-view arrangement with a discounted price on top of what you're already paying. So that may be the only part that I think may aggravate people. I heard it was going in that direction over the weekend, and it did. All right. So that's what I heard. Not enough to report on it. And it's also reported by the Hollywood Reporter. This is different from the Variety story that originally broke everything and laid everything out with a press conference. Hollywood Reporter reporting that the back catalog of AEW will be a part of this deal. So you'll get to be able to watch all the past pay-per-views and big matches and stuff like that. So it's a great way if you're just a lapsed fan, like a lot of people you and I know got back into WWE because of the ease of access on Peacock. You can just fire up everything and it's right next to all your other shows. All right. I know everyone's like, oh, WWE Network is so much better, but the ease of access with everything else you have that you would be watching, The Office, and then I can click over and watch any WrestleMania. That's a big deal. That's huge. That means a lot for casual wrestling fans. Okay.
Huge.
Casual wrestling fans are the drivers of the business. What do you think here? There's a lot here. What streaming device can I watch AEW on? You're going to be able to get a Max. You can subscribe to it, right? But the fact that you'll be able to get Dynamite and Collision every week, live and on demand, without a cable subscription.
Oh yeah.
And you can get it with a streaming service where you're watching all these other things. That sounds on paper silly, but this is really, really cool. This is like a significant thing, right?
Oh, it's great. I talk about my coworker, I feel like, here every week, but he's been begging for this. He loves AEW and he can't catch it because his hours of work conflict with the live show, but they never had that, that streaming service like WWE would have where you could go back and watch it immediately or whatnot. But the PLEs, the pay-per-views, all this is going to be great for the company. I know I already have a free 12-month subscription to Max. I know a lot of people can get this through certain.
Do you get that through a phone deal? Like when you get like a
yes. So I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait for it to hit. I know a lot of people who love to dive into the history of wrestling. They want to see how AEW started. A lot of that's not, there at your fingertips, or you'd have to go into an extensive search to get a lot of these matches. Well, now you're going to have it and you're going to be able to access it very easily through Max. And I just think that this is the best thing that AEW could have done, especially if they want to consider themselves a competitor to WWE, which they are the top company there closest to competing with WWE. If they want to be in that realm, they needed to do something like this, and they did it, and I'm happy for them. This is a great thing moving forward.
It's great for the industry. Yeah. You had Tony Khan saying this is one of the biggest days in AEW's history. It is. Yes. And, you have a company that's 5 years old. It's got its second media rights deal. It has a lot of significant names. It has a growing back catalog that people can jump into. And they're doing this in January in 2025 at the exact same time WWE is jumping over to Netflix. So what an interesting time this is going to be. And you have Warner Brothers, who is a company that is in a very, very tough spot. As a company themselves, they lost billions of dollars and reportedly. And they're still pivoting, and they're really doubling down on Max as a streaming service to make it profitable. And they're very supportive in this. With the Hollywood Reporter, Kathleen Finch, she is the CEO of U.S. Networks for them. Obviously, they want to make that partnership between TBS, TNT on cable TV and Max strong. She says nobody can deliver an audience the way AEW can. So that's them saying point blank publicly. For everyone who complains about ratings and stuff like that, TV, they didn't get them. This goes out the window.
Yeah.
This goes out the window. No one's like, you're not going to be able to really know what the audience is, but know that it's healthy and strong and on all these different things here. So, I mean, that goes out the window here. And she goes on to add the benefit now to WBD to introduce the terrific event to a streaming audience, the Max audience, which may not have been exposed to AEW is in any way until now. Starting in January, is going to have it every Wednesday and Saturday night, as well as a library available to stream. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are really excited about the growth opportunity and the excitement opportunity that the fandom can bring once they have a new platform to expose to. They noted, as for pay-per-view elements, Finch stated that the tech is being developed specifically for a specific launch, still to be determined, but that will be, quote, open up a lot of exciting possibilities for fans on Max and the platform as well. So the pay-per-view part isn't exactly clear. Right. I think there's so much great content on the platform. I think we can bring something new to the greatest library of film and television world every single week. So, I mean, this is good. All right. Whether or not you like AEW, this is good for the industry. This is good for wrestlers. This is good for wrestling fans. This is good for the value of pro wrestling content to a major media company. Yeah. The trickle down economics are so clear. You know what I mean? Yes. WWE gets a deal. WWE signing that deal in 2018, that kind of around 2018-19. That was the Fox $1 billion deal. That was that $1 billion deal, right? If this is a 4 or 5 year deal, it could be near $1 billion.
It really could be.
But we don't know how long the deal is. That's one thing I haven't seen reported is how long the deal is. But it's just, this is good. I mean, I think the one part people will get mad about is saying, you're going to be paying for pay-per-view.
Right.
but
Well,
they didn't want to cannibalize that business. They didn't
they
want to
did.
give up pay-per-view event and pay-per-view revenue, which, by the way, if they're making around 150 to 160 million dollars, that's the margin where they could get to 200 million dollars a year, which was the big reported number, tip of the cap to Sean Rossap, where he said the number they really wanted was around 250 million dollars. So are they around 200 million, excuse me, to be clear, per year was what they were shooting for in media rights. They could maybe get in the realm of that if pay-per-view is still a part of this deal and they're profitable and they're strong pay-per-view events. Plus, how many more people do you reach on Max?
Yeah.
You know, with to get pay-per-view than you would on no shout out at other platforms and Triller. Those are great, you know, and they're well done and they're good technology. But the fact, and are you going to that right away? Do you still, I mean, there's still some, I believe there's some ads for, you know, events they're going to do the rest of the year. Wrestle Dream is still going to be presented on traditional pay-per-view and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think now it's kind of like a hold pattern until you get there and you make it exciting for people.
From what I understand, at least the article that I read, they said that if you are a subscriber to Max, you get a discount to their pay-per-view. So that is a perk of it. And you know, so go subscribe to Max if you're a big AEW fan, because I do that is something that you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you do get a discount if you're a subscriber to Max, right? I mean, that's what
it is, but it isn't clear because they haven't really told us what these pay-per-views are going to be like, and we're not to see them in probably until I want to say Double or Nothing, maybe. You know, like what? Because you're not going to get this until 2025. So we're looking at October. There's a couple months. You know, they just want to let you know they're going to be on Max to begin with weekly television, so they have to push that part first. You know, before they leap into the 19 other things that are going on. There's a lot to be said with this. Shout out to everyone who's joining us as well around the world. We got people watching over in New York City. Heard from some of you guys. Thank you so much. Love hearing you guys. Obviously, very jealous. I've not seen wrestling live yet at the Madison Square Garden. I'm sharing the link with somebody else, making sure we have no other massive breaking news. We had that last week. So we do have some other breaking news here. This one come together. WWE Bad Blood is this weekend, right?
Yes.
And we're PWI insider. Big names are expected to be in town in Atlanta, Georgia, a city that has a whole lot of wrestling history with it. WCW was based there. Dusty Rhodes was there. The Omni was there. The NWA, the Jim Crockett Promotions. You want to know the names? They're all there. But what are the names that are going to show up? Reportedly, state some big names. PWI reporting that the Steiner Brothers.
Oh, Steiner Brothers.
Diamond Ellis Page. Tully Blanchard.
Nice.
Arn Anderson.
Yes.
Medusa and Jacqueline Moore are expected to be around for the premium live event in Atlanta, Georgia. And this is certainly interesting here. WWE has put an emphasis on the location. Cody Rhodes grew up there. Roman Reigns played football at Georgia Tech there. Certainly they're playing off of this. It'll be interesting to see how that talent, I believe, my expectation is they show up in a backstage segment. Or you do the thing where they get up and they wave to the crowd. Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
you know,
how are we doing, everybody?
I filmed some stuff for Peacock earlier today, and they gave me tickets. You know, like that type of thing. That's pretty cool. What do you think of the build of WWE Bad Blood this weekend?
I'm excited. I'm always excited for PLE. I love the Saturdays watching wrestling, especially when there's big matches, big time implications involved. I don't think this is one of the stronger cards, but I do think that it is a good card. I think that there is plenty of great matchups there. I mean, we got the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan with Dominic hanging over the ring in a shark cage.
Custody of Dominic. The custody of Dominic. Do you think they bring a ladder into that? You think they bring a ladder? They got to climb up the ladder to get into the cage?
I think he's definitely going to make his presence felt. I think I'll give a little my prediction real quick. I think that Liv does win because Dominic's going to somehow still make his impact felt. Shenanigans are going to happen with him in the Shark Tank, whatever he's in. It's
Call Farva from Super Troopers. There's gonna be shenanigans.
There's gonna be shenanigans. We need a large Farva over here, a liter of cola, but
I want a goddamn liter of cola.
Yeah, but no, I'm excited for it. I can't wait.
If another one of you boys says shenanigans one more time, I'm gonna shoot you myself. Hey Farva, what's that place at the mall that we go to where we get chicken fingers? Oh, shenanigans.
We can go about this all day, baby. But yeah, I'm excited to say the least. I'm excited.
Yeah. Punk versus Drew, I think, is a big selling point on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I also think the Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes tag team, will they or won't they scenario is pretty good. I did a really good video. I love the script on this. Shout out to our team. I know I saw Pratya in the chat correcting some people about some stories here with Backstage Patch. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
Shout out to our great editors. Shout out to Ankit, everybody on the India side who's working with us, because we've just been pumping out some really, really good stuff recently. I'll also shout out to What a Day Joe, and the Enter the Bloodline series is up right now, so go check that out on the channel. But I did a Bloodline predictions.
Nice.
I think I'm going to be spot on. I'm the most confident I've been about my predictions in a while, where I don't feel wrong about any match. Like sometimes you get a prediction, you're like, I want to go with this, but I'm not sure. Right. This, I'm fairly certain of it.
Okay.
I do not think Cody and Roman are winning.
I'm with you.
I do think there's some type of schmoz. I do think Cody gets pinned. I do think Cody gets pissed. I do think Roman gets fairly protected. You're not going to pin Roman. You've only pinned him twice in the last 2 years. Cody can take a pin in a tag team match and still be the champion and get pissed.
Yeah.
And get mad and blame Roman, and there could be shenanigans involved. Once again, that word. There's a lot. So those two messy finishes, if you're gonna do that. But I do think with Punk, he beats Drew. He beats him.
You think?
He beats him bad. He wrecks him, and they do some wild shiz in this match.
Okay.
Yep. It's a Hell in a Cell. You can do some really, really violent things, and everyone's saying, "Oh, Punk isn't this or he isn't that." This is a match that you can Terry Funk up this whole thing.
Oh right? Yeah, baby.
And you can do a lot of hardcore stuff around this and fun gimmickry that we saw WWE do this year in this week. Shout out to Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. That was a hell of a match on Monday Night Raw. They did a whole bunch of broke a ring. They did all that crazy crap. I think you're gonna get a bunch of this thing here. Jen Lee I think Punk should win. I'm with you. Maybe I'm just biased. I'm talking about the Chicago guy. I'm in Chicago. We'll talk about the big news in Chicago this week before we wrap up. With NXT. But I think it's a strong show. I will say this. It's verging on can't miss for me, and I have to be on stage at Comedy Cabin in Janesville. This happens every time I'm booked out there. There's always a major premium live event, and the booker there, shout out to Nathan Clemens, Janesville, Wisconsin. He says, already I know he's going to do this. There was a Royal Rumble. I was on my phone watching on Royal Rumble. He's like, we already got Peacock fired up for you in the green room. I was like, oh, you're the best. You're the best. Just to make me comfortable. So I'm going to be doing that on my way out there. But what are your take? What's the match? What's the can't miss match on this card for you?
I mean, for me, it's got to be the Punk and Drew McIntyre match. I do also have Punk winning that one. I think Finn Balor is going to take a win from Damian Priest. I think that'll be a great match up there. He needs it.
Balor needs the win more than Priest does. Absolutely.
I think that eventually in 2025 we're going to see a championship run from Finn Balor. I'm going to put that out there right now.
I agree with you.
No, I think it's going to be a great card here. A lot to look forward to. Now, you were talking Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Did you watch the Pat McAfee show when Cody Rhodes was on there this week at all?
This is the so clever line that they drop. Pat McAfee is in the WWE fold. Jen, we will get to your question before we're out of here. I don't want to make you think I'm not doing that. By the way, if you guys have wrestling questions, we'll wrap up with those. So get those dropped right now.
Get them in.
Bad Blood is this weekend. Cody making the media rounds. Pat McAfee actively not in WWE at the moment. He's busy with College Game Day. My expectation is that he'll be back with WWE when he can be.
Yes.
And so he seems to have a direct line to one eyebrow raising, most electrifying man who's an executive of WWE. Yeah, hell of an eyebrow there. Hell of a defined eyebrow there. You're hiding them with those baseball caps, bud. There you go. In The Rock. So a lot of people kind of connected the dots here in this clip. Cody's getting off. He's shaking hands and everything. And then just comes, hey, the big guy's coming back next week, right? The big guy's coming back.
Couldn't believe he said it.
And the way Cody was like, what? What are you talking about, bud?
Yeah.
the way that it was like so like casual and like passive aggressive and just been like and Rock just be like that's the way Rock would want that news to kind of get out. Wait, what? What did you say, dude? What? Like he kind of like smiled about it. He's like, you little shit.
Right.
It was a very interesting way to drop such a big story to say that The Rock is you haven't seen The Rock in months and he's just gonna pop up,
Yeah, no, I couldn't believe it when they dropped that little hint. I was like, wait, hold on, what? Are they really going about it that way right now? Yeah.
Well, it's also the way Rock wants to go about it is the way you're gonna go about it.
True.
If anyone, a handful of guys who can call their shots in WWE, and The Rock is one of those guys.
Yep.
Even Triple H say, we can't tell him he can't swear. Like that type of thing. Or that was alluded to in a press conference. Hey, he's a guy who's gonna do what he wants.
Yep. Hey.
Rock. So there you go. What happens when with The Rock? I remember being in the arena when he said, I was like, what? He had to tell them he was doing that, though. He's not. He's the one guy who gets to do that. Get the bleep button ready. I'm the one guy who has it. How do you bring The Rock back in here? How does he pop back in? Does he show up at Bad Blood?
I don't know if it's Bad Blood or maybe Survivor Series.
If he showed up at Bad Blood,
if
he showed up at Bad Blood, and he's the one who really makes things happen.
Oh yeah,
suck the air out of the room. And then also, if you see Bad Blood come together, and it's clear they're going to end with Rock and Roman versus Solo and Jacob Fatu. Big test for Jacob Fatu, by the way. This is his first big, premium live event match. He has not been featured in a Solo one. So he's with Solo, but
Solo.
So big test for him. If they put that match on last, there's a big show ending angle, you know, and it's they're not going to have The Rock come out and do it within the first 20 minutes of the show and then end with Punk valiantly being the champion. I think they open if they open with Hell in a Cell, and that's what you get for half an hour, they're ending with something, and that's kind of telling, because it isn't clear to us at this time what match is going to finish the show. I know there was some people feeling internally that it would be Punk versus Drew.
Yeah,
but I'm also of the thought that maybe WWE would get more miles out of this if they had The Rock show up on television, as they've done before. When he just showed up on TV, it was a big deal. And they are on socials, number 1, number 2 on Google Trends for at least 6-7 hours. That's a lot of real estate in people's minds. Do you do that with a premium live event, or do you do it on television, make it a surprise, and then build to something? It's interesting. How do you use The Rock to get the most out of him when he makes an appearance?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think that will be the telltale sign there is if they put the Roman and Cody versus the Bloodline match at the end. I think we're seeing The Rock. I think you're dead on right there. They're not going to put that at the end unless something like that is going to happen. And is this the right time for The Rock to come back though? Have the time?
I think it's just a tease to another match with him.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tease to another. It's going to be a tease to another match. Unless you want to have him in War Games.
Right. That's what I was going to
and we have the War Games coming up in November, right? And that's the big multi-man match and everything. That's a match you can put The Rock in.
Yeah.
I know it's a match where people get hurt, people can get injured. You don't want to injure The Rock, but it is a multi-man affair where you can have The Rock out there and he doesn't have to work a singles match. So maybe there's less risk of injury and all those different things. I want to get to, while we're still on active WWE Bloodline stuff here, Jen Lee goes, I'm curious, when are Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman making a comeback? That's another element for Bad Blood. If Jimmy Uso was to come back, he got thrown out of the Bloodline. Could he be a part of the collective that's going to mount up against Solo and help them? We have not seen him back. Does he come back this week on television, by the way? SmackDown, by the way, stacked. The Bloodline, Tamatanga Tangaloa, going to defend the WWE Tag Team Championships in a ladder match against DIY and another team whose name Street Profits. So you have a triple threat ladder match. They're doing that on TV.
Yeah,
before,
great match.
You know,
great match.
Dumpster match with Chelsea Green. So some fun stuff on SmackDown. Maybe this week. I think them showing up on TV would be cool. I also think them showing up at the pay-per-view would be interesting. Paul Heyman with Roman feels right again.
Yeah.
If Solo powerbombed him through a table, like him kind of coming out and being like, I'm getting this collective together to go up against Solo. And then The Rock comes and says, actually, no.
He comes out and says, if you smell
what I'm going to swear about.
Yep.
Yeah. People say setting up war games possibly. I think it's all possible. Jen, I don't know when, but I do think they will. I think we'll see both Paul Heyman and Jimmy Uso before Survivor Series.
I agree.
Before Survivor Series in some way or another.
I think the whole Rikishi saying "pray for my son," that was never really alluded to what that was about, but I think it's just to get some eyes back on Jimmy.
Lori saying, where can I stream WWE? Haven't seen it for weeks. Well, I don't know what your TV setup is, Lori, but I'm happy to tell you that you can get all of the back catalog stuff on Peacock right now in the United States. If you're in the United States, if you're outside of the United States, you can still get WWE Network. Hulu, this is a big thing. I know a lot of people that are Hulu subscribers. SmackDown and Raw no longer on Hulu. That kind of not quietly happened. I had a lot of people reach out to me that watched WWE just on that.
Same.
And you get it on demand the next day, and it was gone.
Yep, I have the same thing happen.
And I think that's going to be the deal. And I know once they move to Netflix, you're going to have next day live Raw access every week. Don't know what the status is of SmackDown with that, by the way, and what their deal is here. But people are interested here. How you doing, Lox? How are you? Lox Piero, who's a big supporter. Shout out. Get your questions in before we stream out of here. Do want to have some thoughts on WWE NXT, their debut on the CW. I was there. I was in Chicago. We got free pizza. We have a new NXT champion in Trick Williams. Whoa, that Trick. Dude's over. This dude is over. Like, I was live, and it was cool to see wrestling fans who are significantly younger than me. I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about dudes, okay? And you want that young, hip demo. This guy is over with them. All right. Guys in their 20s, teenage dudes, teenage girls, women in their 20s were ripping for this guy. They were all hands up and down for him. I was very, very happy for him. And then to kind of get the endorsement from CM Punk, who got a big pop, gave everyone pizza. Shout out to Ethan Page, by the way, for making him look good, putting that title on somebody. It felt like a big deal. NXT's debut on the CW also featured Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill making a surprise entrance to save Kaylani from the fatal influence, not fatal attraction, the fatal influence.
That's right.
And a lot of other fun stuff on the show.
Yeah,
Cora Jade returned. She helped Roxanne Perez retain her championship against Julia. Good show. Very, very good show. Wouldn't call it the greatest show, but felt eventful. The Miz was on this show, just doing Miz TV, building to another week of television. They'll be in St. Louis, so then they'll return to the WWE Performance Center. They have a new look. What did you think of it? The show did well, by the way. Did around 900,000 viewers on the CW, a broadcast network, so you think we get more people. But the fact that they were up against a vice presidential debate on TV and live sports, WNBA is popping some numbers now. That's a good number. It's a solid number for a third-tier brand, right?
Yeah, I thought it was solid, especially for their first night there. I don't know, they were advertising it, but maybe they could have done a little bit more to get more people there. But like you said, they were competing with a lot of big things going on. But I watched it. It felt like a big-time event. Mm-hmm. I thought that the wrestling was great. The storylines were great. Having CM Punk there, like you said, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair. It was a great match, or a great event all around. And I think this is going to do wonders for NXT moving forward. They have so much talent there. Like you said, Trick Williams is way over. I would say even if he makes that jump to the main roster, I know he was partners with Carmelo Hayes for a while. I think he's going to be a bigger name than Carmelo.
Well, they do kind of do like the blurry, like you're a big guy in NXT and you get to start doing some WWE main roster stuff, right?
Yeah.
They've done that with a handful of people. I could see that with him. I could also see Trick in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. That would be a great little thing for him to do. Even with the title on him. And I'll say this, them taking the title off of All Ego, Ethan Page, I think that he will make a jump to the main roster. I think he's ready. He's proven himself as a good heel, and I think that he could be more valuable in NXT for a little bit longer. But I mean, he's a proven superstar. He's got all the charisma on the mic. He can wrestle in the ring with any of them. I think he's going to make a main roster leap here soon.
So I know for some people who are older wrestling fans, they say, "Oh, an 8.0 was the rating we had back in the day." But when there's so many more media choices, something in the range of 800,000 viewers in a single night is a very, very good number in 2024. So WWE, NXT, and CW touting these numbers on the CW, a broadcast network. It was the strongest telecast on the CW this year among adults 18 to 49, adults 25 to 54. I'm telling you, this guy is over. They put Trick in the graphic holding the title. CW Night prime time was up 143% total viewers, wow. 965,000 peak audience, average total viewers of 895,000, up 44% from last week on the USA Network. That's a huge interest. They built to this show. That is a significant number. That is a AEW number. All right. So now you have a show that is competing. It's not competing head to head, but they will be doing that, by the way. Yes. There will be in November, there is an expectation that on election night that AEW and Dynamite will be head to head with WWE NXT. Certainly, I think that show will be stacked and interesting to see where it goes. Good stuff for NXT. Good stuff for AEW.
Oh, yeah.
Rah, rah, rah for wrestling, buddy. Rah, rah, rah for wrestling. So there we go.
Love it.
So getting in here, I want to make sure I get everything. Yes, it is a good deal. Good deal, bro.
Good deal.
Good deal, Bahati. Good deal, Bahati. So a lot to cover. We did so much. We covered, if you just joined us late, WWE Bad Blood. We covered Bobby Lashley. We cover that breaking news. And also, by the way, we have some more breaking news. Okay. If you're not subscribed yet to Backstage Pass on Patreon, please go do it. Some news expected to break there today. On SK Wrestling's Backstage Pass. Please go check it out about Becky Lynch and her status with or without wrestling. Patreon.com Backstage Pass SK. You can see the URLs right there on the screen. Yeah. That is Backstage Pass SK. Some people have told me, I'm looking for it. I'm telling you, it's right there. So go give it a look.
Right there.
I'll leave that on screen here before we sign off. Buddy, if they want to follow you on the Instagram, where do they go?
You can follow me at Nick_Harksen. That's NICK_HARKSEN. And I have to go and subscribe to that Patreon immediately. I want to know the news. I haven't even heard it yet. So people, I'm going to be joining you at the same time. Let's go do this. Let's join.
Let's go do it. You can follow me at KevKellum6, at KevKellum6. If you haven't followed Sportskeeda Wrestling on Instagram, please go do that. Like 30,000 of you guys watched this clip of me getting free pizza. So I guess nice. You guys were really excited about that. That's right. CM Punk and WWE gave everyone free pizza. He wanted to be emphatic and say that we are giving free pizza. Is Becky Lynch coming back? I don't know. I'm going to find out the same way you did. And I'm not doing that as the tease to get you to go. I don't know. I legitimately do not know. All right. If I did, I would say something, but I don't know right now. So go get that Backstage Pass on Patreon. So a lot to cover. Follow me on the Instagram at KevKellum6. That's at KevKellum6. Follow him as well. All the good stuff. Thanks for watching the show. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Just hit the thumbs up. It's free. It's free. It's a free thing. A lot of other stuff on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel for you to subscribe. Thank you guys so much. We're cracking near 160,000 strong subs. But a lot of you subscribers, just because of the algorithms and the way you see a live video in YouTube is compared to something that's just like presented and premiered on the channel, sometimes you don't get to see our stuff. So if you're seeing our stuff and you liked it and you watched this much, something you can do that is incredibly easy for you to do is to hit the like button. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the like button. If you're listening on the podcast feed, Give it a 5-star review, share the link, pass it on. Love shouting out all the people that have been watching with this the whole show. Shout out to Nick. Oh, Nick, look at that. England not confirmed. That's right, Nick. You're getting the, yeah. Some people asking about this. We broke that Elimination Chamber story earlier. Thank you to WrestleVotes. So is it in London? It is not in London. Okay. It is expected to be in England. Leading candidates, Manchester or Birmingham. Do not believe it is going to be in London. So we want to clear the deck on that.
That was my
fault.
I said that earlier. I just said London, England, and I meant to say
don't
England.
worry about it. It's all right. It's all right. It's only a few hundred miles. I'm just teasing, buddy. It's people saying go Lions though. Confirmed in England. We're not. WWE hasn't confirmed it, but we're reporting it, Destino, if you're joining us a little bit late. So, yes, of course, that big story is up now as well on Backstage Pass on Patreon. Slam the like, go check it out. All the details about that. That is the newest episode of WrestleVotes Radio, exclusive to Backstage Pass from Sportskeeda Wrestling. Thank you guys so much. Remember, when watching wrestling, please do the most important thing that you can do, which is what?
Enjoy wrestling.
Good day.